Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to show you how I make what I call a page extender for junk journals. It's just a really simple way to add extra space to your journal, whether you've already finished a page and want to add onto it, or you just need more room for pockets and writing. So all you will need are obviously your basic craft supplies. I'm going to be using two C6 envelopes, and this is a digital that is available on my Ko-fi. I printed it about 2 weeks ago actually, and I'm still going through it, still using it. So I'm just going to be using that to decorate. You can adapt this to other sized envelopes. I can't see a problem. However, I personally like to use the C6 because I think it's quite a versatile size. I think it will fit in many journals. But like I say, you can do this with a really small envelope if you wanted to, just have a little bit of extra room. Totally up to you. So let's get started. So I'm going to start by just adapting this first envelope into two pockets, and it is really simple. All you need to do is just glue this piece down. So I'm just going to glue here like so. Fold the flap down and make sure that's in place. Then I just want to leave that to dry, just so the glue's not wet whilst we're cutting or anything like that. So I'm just going to put that to the side and bring in my other one. So this is actually going to be the extendable page. All I want to do to this piece is just apply glue to this flap here and this flap here. Now once that has been glued, obviously that is still an open pocket. I don't particularly want to use it as a pocket, so I'm just going to place some glue underneath there just to seal it up, because this is going to go against the page, so this kind of pocket here will become redundant. So I'm just going to place some glue. Obviously you could have done this before applying the glue to the top and bottom flap, but you know, I like to do things backwards. So there we have a fully enclosed envelope, and the reason why I've closed that up is because I actually want the pocket to be along the top. So all I'm going to do is just cut off, where's my ruler, the tiniest amount of this fold at the top here. I think you could barely see where I'm cutting. Can you barely see the amount that I'm cutting off there? And it's literally just to open it up, just enough to open it up. So that's the piece that we're left with, and then that will open up this top piece. And obviously my glue's not yet dry, so that will be stuck down, and then we have a pocket up the top instead of at the side. Okay, I think that this one is pretty dry now, so move this one to the side. So this is going to form two pockets, and I want them, you can do this either way. You can just fold it directly in half and then cut along the bottom, or you can do what I'm going to do and you can stagger them. So I actually want mine, one to be more than halfway and one to be less than halfway. So I'm just going to place it along on my mat here, just so I've got a nice straight line. I'm going to cut just about there, like so. And there you have it. You've got two pockets. So you've got this one here, which is the larger one, if I can get my fingers to work. So we've got this larger pocket here, and then this inky dinky little pocket at the bottom here. And my idea for this is that I'm going to stagger them, so we're going to have one like that and one like that. So that is pretty much the prep of the envelopes done and dusted. The only extra thing that you might not want to do, but I prefer to do, is I just like to go around and ink all of the edges. So I'll go and do that. Okay, so that is all of my edges now inked. It's at this point as well that you would probably need to decide whether you actually want this inside piece to be visible. So when the pockets are in use or when they're not in use, you may be able to see this blue pattern on the inside. For me, it's not a problem. It's a junk journal. I'm using junk to make my ephemera, so that doesn't bother me. But if it does bother you, you can just cut down a piece of paper to the size, slip it inside and glue it. That way you will then hide any of this envelope pattern if you don't like it. But like I say, I don't mind, so I am going to leave mine. So onto the next step, which is literally just covering the envelopes. So we can fully cover this piece and I leave this flap uncovered, and then you can cover this piece and then cover your two front pocket pieces here. So let's start with this main envelope piece. Let's just choose the paper that we want to decorate it with. Don't know if I want to go for like a plain or patterned, I'm not sure. Or maybe a bit of both, a bit of a plain pattern. Let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is for this side, I'm going to use this pattern, and then for the reverse, I'm going to use this kind of patchworky design. So super simple. All we need to do is just glue our desired paper onto the top of our envelope. Now if you was using a coloured envelope, you could obviously bring this in a little bit so that you could actually see the colour of the envelope underneath. Where I'm using a white one, I don't really want it to be seen. You could also be using a brown envelope, which again, it just adds to the design, so you could bring it in so that you can actually see the envelope. But I am going to cover the entirety of this piece. So all I'm going to do is just slap a load of glue onto here. And I'm just going to make sure that I really do get close to these edges, because you don't want your paper flicking up. So I just spend a bit of extra time on the edges. So in order to cover this, on a prototype that I made, I butted my paper up to this side, and then I cut along this edge to get rid of the excess paper. I'm not going to do that this time because I made a boo-boo, and butting it up to this edge meant that I needed to cut this edge, but I wasn't careful enough when cutting said edge and I slit it open. So I'm going to flip it over and do it the other way instead, so it's a lot easier. I'm just going to place my paper to this side and butt it up against that edge instead. That way I don't have to cut anything and make any extra holes anywhere. So we just get that nice and straight so that I don't have any cutting to do along that edge. And then just make sure that's obviously stuck down. Don't want our flap to be stuck, so just give that a fold back and flatten all of this out. Okay, perfect. Then I'm just going to go around and trim off the excess paper. There we go, no mishaps, no accidentally opened edges. We only have our top edge, which I'm hoping is this edge, yes, which is here. So that's the only piece that we want to be open. We don't want this edge piece to be open. Obviously I need to apply a little bit more glue here and just stick that into place. Okay, and then we can decorate the back side now. So I wanted to use this decorative piece, so just deciding which piece I actually want to use. I'm not sure. I like it all really. I think I might go that way. I like this green up here, so I think I'll go with that. So I'm just going to do the same, make sure I'm getting right up to the edges with my glue. There we go. Line it up like so. That's not very straight, is it? There we go. Okay, and then just repeat the same process, just cut around the excess paper. And then just give that a bit of a push down, like so. So now I just want to actually make my pocket into a pocket, because this is quite difficult to get into. As you can see, my fingers and thumb are sliding all over the place. So I'm just going to punch a half circle, and I'm going to do it one side at a time because I think it might be too thick for my, no, actually it should be okay. No, I'm not going to risk it. I've done that before and it turned out awful. So I'm just going to place my circle punch inside and punch. Even that was a bit tough. So you could either leave it like that if you wanted to, but I'm actually going to cut the second circle as well, so that there's half a circle on both sides, like so. There we go. So now you actually know that there is a pocket up here and you can actually get into it a lot easier. Another optional step, it depends on how you're doing it. If you're leaving a border around your envelope, then you don't need to do this, but I'm going to ink around the edges of my freshly decorated piece. Okay, so that is my piece inked. So now I want to move on to creating the back piece, which is going to be 2 layered pockets, as I mentioned previously. So we just now need to cover those pockets. So because I've gone for quite a jazzy design on the back, this pocket here is actually going to be in a plain-ish kind of pattern, and then this one I'm going to do again in that collaged pattern. So I just want to find a suitable, oh there we go, went straight to it. We'll go for this one here. Oh, actually, no, we'll go for that one. So my larger pocket will be covered with this. And again, all we need to do is just glue and place our paper on top. Give it a little squeegee, a little flatten, like so. And then we can cut around that pocket also. Okay, so there's that piece. I'm just going to put that to the side to dry. And then we can bring in our smaller pocket and do the exact same with our desired piece of decorative paper. Okay, so we now have our 2 pockets made. I'm again going to do a little circle punch through the top of each pocket, just so that we know that there is actually a pocket. Obviously make sure that you're doing the correct end. Don't want to do down here, you want to do where your piece opens. I just want to make sure that they are in the same place and the same height. And there we go. Perfect, so there we have it. Again, another optional, but I'm going to ink around the edges of both pockets. Okay, so that is now our 2 pockets made. So I'm just going to attach these to the piece, the extender, and on the prototype that I made, I butted both pockets up to the bottom, which is absolutely fine. I have no problem with that, but I'm actually going to bring this back piece up slightly higher and bring that one to meet at the bottom. It's just a little something different. It looks a little bit more even, whereas that you've got more space at the top, so I just trying to make it a little bit more even. And I'm just going to glue. Again, you could glue just 3 sides and turn this piece into a pocket if you really wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to glue this piece flat to the extender. So I'm going to glue all over and then just place where I want it. Obviously I just want to make sure that this circle piece isn't going to be kind of like that, so just want to make sure that that's definitely in the right place and glue that into place and get rid of the excess glue. So there we have our pocket here. Needs a little bit more glue in that top corner. Why do I always miss the top corners? It does always seem that that's the theme with me, is that I miss the top corners, and I think I've missed that one as well. I have. Oh dear. Okay, right, that's all glued down, so that's that piece done. And same with this, you could glue just 3 sides, place it down, and you've got an extra pocket, but I'm just going to do the whole thing and then just line that up with the bottom of the piece like so. I think I went a bit OTT with the corners this time, so now I've got excess glue coming out. That's fine, it's not a problem. Okay, so now that piece is completely finished. So when attached to our journal page, you have these beautiful pockets on this side. So when it's attached, if I just bring in, this journal here is actually Annie's journal. She has a journal a month from us, and this is her journal for the month. So I'm just trying to find a plain page. So the idea is that it will attach to the page like so, and as you're flicking through, this is what you'll see. Hopefully it'll be stuffed loads with pictures, ephemera, tags, whatever, but that's how you would see it. And then you'd open it up and you'd have this piece here. Now you can either do the exact same, get another envelope, cut it in half, make another pocket, but I like to add a scrap pad to this so that there's extra journaling space. So you've got best of both worlds. So you've got more journaling space to sit and write something, and then you've got more storage space as well. So it's kind of like a 2 for 1. So I'll just put that to the side, and then we can create our scrap pad. So to make the scrap pad, I just use, this is A3 plain white paper that I've just coffee dyed, and then I'm just going to cut it to size basically. The way that I do this is, you know me, I'm not one for being specific and with measurements. I literally just eyeball it. So all I do is I just place my envelope on top of my paper and just kind of do a rough guide as to where I want the paper to be cut. So I'm just going to budge it over a little bit. Obviously I don't want this piece to be covered, so my scrap pad needs to be smaller than this. So I'm just going to come in around there and just pop a mark there. So that is ideally where I want, that's how high I want it to be. And then for the width of it, I don't know if I said width. Okay, so the width of it, I don't want it to butt up right to the edges of the envelope. So I'm literally just going to budge this in a little bit so that we've got that much on the other side. And again, just mark with pencil. Super technical, I know. And then all I'm going to do is just draw myself a template. You can either cut this, which is what I'm going to do, or you could rip it, whatever kind of design preference you prefer. So I'm just going to go in and cut this. There we go. So now we've just got our template piece. Then what I do is I just fold up this piece like so. And that is about the right size there, like that. And then I'm just going to fold it again, just to match the template. Super simple and super cheaty way of getting it to size. So I'm just going to trim this off trim this off. I really don't mind if my pages are wonky or slightly off, slightly different sizes. I like that look. So I'm just going to cut along the folds here, and that will probably give me quite a jaggedy edge, which again I like so. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 pieces. I just need to chop off that there, and there we have it. So we've got 5 pieces, and then we've even got some of this left over, and obviously I'm not going to waste it. So does that need to be cut down? No. So we'll just place that into our scrap pad as well, so that you've got different shapes, different sizes. Like I say, you could rip it, you could cut it with the shaped scissors, you know, like the zigzag scissors. I wanted to call them stickers. But yeah, you can do whatever you wanted with that. So I'm just going to, oh, are they a bit big? Yeah, they are. Okay, so I'm just going to chop them down like so, and then just kind of rearrange everything. So we put that there, that there, that there, that there, and then 2 there. Okay, so that is our scrap pad. Once everything is in place and where I like it, I just grab my stapler, yeah, right way around, and just really close to the top, like so, just staple along the top so that all the pieces are safely secured together, like so. And then we're going to grab a scrap piece of paper, just tear that piece off there. We're just going to make it like a thing to hide those staples basically, so we'll just cut it to the size of the pad, like so. What I'll do is I'll first figure out exactly where I want this piece to start and finish, and I think I'm happy with that, to be honest. I think that's quite a decent size. It doesn't cover too much of the pad. So I'll just get my piece there. Then I'll just cut off this excess at the back. And of course, I'm going to ink around the edges. You can decorate this if you wanted to. You could put some floral stickers on it and maybe a sentiment, whatever you wanted. And then we're literally just going to glue that into place. So you want to put glue on both sides of this. So a little bit up here and a little piece on the other side. And then remembering what side you've inked, which I think is that side, just place it over the top like so, and there you have it. You have a little scrap pad, and your staples are obviously hidden at the top, so you don't need to see those. You could obviously just use double-sided sticky tape if you wanted to along the top of each page, and place each page on top of each other and then possibly cover it, possibly not, totally up to you. And then we just need to bring in our pre-made envelope here, and that is where it's going to go, that's where it's going to sit, and that is absolutely perfect. So we've got a nice edge this side and this side. It's not overlapping with that pocket at the top, and we have some room at the bottom too. Again, this is a totally up to you scenario, but you could either glue this very last page right down onto the envelope, or only apply glue up here on this, so that then you have your scrap pad that then you fold up like this, you journal on it, you write on it, you do whatever it is you want to do on it, and then you still have that space underneath to decorate or add a photo, leave a secret message, whatever you want to do. So let's just get that stuck down. There we go. And that is that. Now, I have left this flap completely undecorated because I find it easier to do that. So let me just bring in my little sample journal again, open to a page. So when you're attaching it, obviously this piece is going to be hidden altogether because you're going to apply glue here and you're going to attach it to your page. So it's always going to be hidden like so. You can't see that blue pattern anymore. And obviously where we've inked all of the edges, that adds to hiding it. Then when it is folded over, you could either leave that as is. Can you see that? Sorry. You could either leave that as it is, so just plain white, put a huge piece of paper over the whole page like so, so that it covers it completely, or you could just put some washi tape down the side, because like we say, it's a junk journal and we're meant to be using our envelopes to make ephemera. So it's, personally, that's what I would do. I would just put a little bit of washi tape down the side. But that is it, guys. That is essentially the easiest way to add more space to your journals. This, excuse me, this is the one that I made as a prototype. So you can see I've filled the back with loads and loads of ephemera pieces and just cards and bits and pieces like that. The top pocket also has stuff in it as well. And then the scrap pad, instead of using coffee paper, I just used some plain ivory paper and I ripped the edges of this one. And yeah, either way that it's done, they look beautiful. So you've got coffee stained and you've got ivory, whatever one you want to go with. And when it's filled up, I personally think it looks so lovely when it's got all of the ephemera in it and bits and pieces. So it's just a really super quick way to add more space and more storage to your journals. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed and I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.